If you're in a country where people are beating you up every night, you're afraid for your wife and kids, you can't make any money, they're dirt poor, you don't have enough food to eat, naturally you want to leave. You want to find some place to go to where that's not happening. Now, they're not refugees per se. Refugees are people who have a well-founded fear of persecution uh, if they return to their country of citizenship. First of all, America cannot solve everybody's problem, no matter how good it is, no matter how rich it is. So you have to choose who you're going to allow in, and it naturally follows that the country has the right to turn away people who they don't want to come in.
Welcome to the Marketing Boost Solutions Podcast, the #1 source for proven solutions to all your marketing challenges.
Today on the Marketing Boost Solutions Podcast, I'm joined by Andy Semotiuk. Andy is a U.S. and Canadian immigration lawyer who has helped over 10,000 clients. He's written for Forbes, more than 1 million readers, and authored 5 books. Andy is also a former UN correspondent, a communications expert, and a whole lot more. We'll be diving into the power of discovering your unique ability, the role motivation plays in building a successful career, and how to get the most out of each day while keeping life in the balance. Plus, we'll touch on the immigration issues and how to do it the right way. Let's get started. Andy, say hello.
Hello, nice to see you, Marco, and thanks for having me on your podcast.
No, my pleasure to have you. Thank you. And so tell us, I guess you have a Ukrainian background, but you've been in Canada and in the U.S. How long now?
Okay, so a little background story on me. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta. My parents were from Ukraine. So I can relate to the immigrant experience. And I myself was a bit of an immigrant because I spent half my life in Canada and the other half of my life in the United States. So, for example, my early years were in Edmonton, in the far north. It's a city that's one of the coldest cities in the world when it comes to winter. Temperatures down to 50 below. Your car won't start in the morning without a block heater that you have to plug in the evening to keep the car warm. That kind of a stuff. Use a credit card to clear off the
ice in the
frost
morning.
off the windshield. So that's where I grew up. Went to grade school, etc. In high school, went to high school in Los Angeles, California, and I was bicycled back and forth between my mother in Edmonton and her sister, my aunt Helen, who lived in Los Angeles. So in high school, I went to Paternoster High School in Los Angeles. And then later in life, as it turned out, my life continued down this dual path, spending 10 years practicing law in Los Angeles, 5 years in New York, and now I'm in Toronto practicing with Pace Law Firm.
Cool. Regardless of what Trump thinks and everybody else thinks, I've got a lot of friends up in Canada. Love you guys. So
Appreciate that. Yeah. we're a little sensitive about being invited to be the 51st state.
Yeah, I can gather that it's not too popular up there these days. uh, can't blame them. Yeah, let's dive into a little bit about your role in talking about motivation and the engine of success.
I'm glad you jumped into that because motivation is one of my favorite topics. And it came to me sort of indirectly, kind of by way of some studying and outside of the work efforts. You'll see over my shoulder here, if you can see online, I have a plaque. It's from Toastmasters International. I spent a lot of time in Toastmasters. In fact, for 35 years, I attended Toastmasters meetings. And that's an organization that teaches people communication skills and leadership skills. And each week, I'd go to a meeting, a club meeting, where people would give talks, and we would, give them feedback. How'd you do? Stand straight, look the audience in the eye. Don't wobble on your feet and things like this. And over the course of that time, while I was in Toastmasters, one day I was looking at the Toastmasters magazine, and in there they were talking about what's called the Golden Gavel Award. And it's an award that Toastmasters gives each year to a spectacular, some prominent speaker that's got national fame. And it's given out during the convention that they have. And they had these recordings of past great speakers. And I wrote to them and I said, hey, listen, I like this idea. I'd love to get some of those recordings. And if you would like, I could write some comments, some stories about the speakers involved. And they, sure enough, they sent me all these recordings and I listened to them and I started writing and so on. That part fell apart. But what did happen was I came across one speaker who really affected me with his speech. And the speech was about motivation. And the guy's name was Bob Richards. And here's what he said in the course of his speech that really, hit me hard. He said, when he was a small child, he lived in a Midwestern city, smaller city, and they had a semi-professional baseball club. And there was a guy named Boudreau, Guy Boudreau, I think was his name, who was one of the players. And this guy was the star of the team, and they all loved him. And one day, Richards, as a kid, was at the ballpark at the far end of the stadium, and this guy, Boudreau, hit a home run, and Richards caught the ball. And so he was so enthused that he got the ball. He went to the players' dugout, the players' change room, not dugout, but change room, waiting for Boudreau to come out to get his autograph. And he waited there with other boys. And soon enough, the guy came out and he's signing autographs. This guy's name was Lou Boudreau. And he comes up to Richards and he says, and what's your name, son? And he says, Bobby Richards. And Lou Boudreau says to him, oh, that's great. And what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says, I want to be a baseball player, like a star like you. And Boudreau took the baseball, signed his name, and he said to him, that's great, Bobby. I can see it. One day you'll be great. And Richards then related in his speech about that moment that he could not tell you how much that motivation meant to him as a small kid, that someone who he admired so much said that he had, confidence that he would be a someone. And then he went on to share this one other story. And that was that at that time, when he was giving the speech, Richards mentioned that there was a recession on in the United States. Things were not so good, sort of like now, where we're kind of reaching that kind of stage. And one of the newspapers decided to consult some economists. What's missing? What's needed? And they talked to three prominent economists and asked them, well, what's needed? And all three of them, according to Richards, answered motivation. And then Richards went on to define what was motivation. And he said, motivation is when you paint a larger picture of the life of the person you're trying to motivate than the image that person has of himself or herself. And the moment of motivation is when that person clutches on to that larger image for their life and decides to go down the path imagined by that larger image. I think that's it in a nutshell right there.
Very good point. You've got it. So it's about helping others see that vision for themselves. And then it doesn't really kick in until that person can visualize that bigger image, that bigger goal, that bigger scenario, visualize themselves as that baseball player or that successful entrepreneur. When they can see it themselves, then the motivation starts to kick in. Is that
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for your clients who are entrepreneurs. Sometimes we can be stuck with the wrong image of what we want to do or where we want to be or what we want to be. And it's sometimes worthwhile to reflect on, is my image big enough for me? Maybe there's not enough. I don't know if you know the name Jim Rohn.
Oh yeah.
He was quite a famous speaker. And I remember one time I was at a meeting he was at, and he asked the people at the meeting, he was teaching us about goal setting. And he said, we don't have time, but if I had the time, I would come and talk to you and I'd ask you, what's your image? What's your goal? What do you see for yourself in your life? And he said, if you told me, would I get excited? Would I really get motivated, energized by it? And if not, why not? You should have a big picture of your life, a bigger one, something that really, gets you up and roaring and ready to go to work every day. I think he's right about that.
Yeah, you've got to have that. You've got to be dream building all the time and adding to it and challenging yourself for more. And it's not all about more money, but it might be, how it's about how service. How many people can you help and serve? How big is your role in your community? How big is your role? How big can you visualize what you can do for others? And then if you can do a lot for others, money comes your way as part of the reward.
That's true.
If it's all about money, that usually fails as well. So you've got to have a good balance. Um, how do you keep, or what do you tell people to keep pushing forward when challenges keep piling up?
Ah, well, this is a deep subject, but let's get into it. Well, for starters, all of us face two big questions in our life. One is, who am I? And the other one is, why am I here? This isn't something I just dreamt up. I mean, I learned this, this is philosophical questions from philosophers way back to Aristotle and before. But they're good questions. They're good questions to ask people, if you're trying to motivate someone. And in asking, who am I? You're exploring what's in between these ears here. And there's a whole universe in between those ears, as big as the universe outside there. Another one inside that you could spend all your life, digging in there and figuring out what's going on and what's what. But I think the key, to address your question, the key question is, I guess, what's the purpose of your life? What's the purpose of life in general? It's a big question. What's the purpose? And sometimes I ask people, like if I give a presentation, and young people in particular, they'll answer, they'll say, well, to love everyone, to do the best you can be, or to be the best you can be, or, to love, work, and leave a legacy, these kind of answers. And they're all good answers. But one good answer I found, which comes directly to the question you're asking, is I find that one of the key elements is to find your unique ability and put it into the service of others. If you will do that, you will always have something to give people. Now, it's not easy to find your unique ability. You can't just sit down and, I'll just write it out right here. No, it takes time. You have to focus on yourself and figure out, well, what am I good at? What gives me motivation when I'm in it? Why, things that I enjoy so much that time flies, such as like this presentation right now. I don't know how long it's been, maybe 10 minutes. To me, it seems like 1 minute. I'm right in it with you, right? Time flies when you're onto something that means something to you. It might, your hair may stand on edge because you like it so much. People say you're really good at it, etc. So if you can find that unique ability and give it to the world, the world really wants that from you. That's really what the world wants. Now we're all unique. Like you grew up, Marco, you were telling me you grew up in the United States and Puerto Rico and so on. I grew up in
Hmm.
Canada and you heard my story. We're different, but we're unique that way, right? And you speak your languages, I speak my languages. You have your education, I have my. We're all like that. Everybody's unique in that sense. Everybody has something to give. But the key question is, what is the activity or the role that you see for yourself that lifts you up in the morning? So, for example, my wife, it's all about real estate. She loves real estate. I can't get her up in the morning before about 9 o'clock, usually in bed. But if there's a seminar on at 7 a.m. on real estate, if I just say the word real estate to her, she's up at 7 a.m. watching that seminar. It's just something she loves, right?
Hmm.
So if you can find something like that in your life, if you're stuck, maybe it's because you need to check that unique ability of yours and make sure you're in it, working in it. And you'll know it by the passion you have for it. It's something you don't have to work for. It's something you love. You'll do it for free. You'll even travel to places for free to do it. You give it away for free, and you're happy if someone pays you for it.
Right.
That's a unique ability.
Hmm.
And you're good at it. So,
How do you help people define the difference between external and internal motivation?
well, there's a saying that you can't really motivate anybody. Now, this is notwithstanding what I said earlier. Uh, they have to motivate themselves. Like if you can't plug in with them, and if they're not going to tune in, no matter what you do, you can do handstands, and it's not going to make a difference. That's external motivation. And what I talked about earlier was external motivation. But I'm well aware, and I'm sure you are as well, that uh, there's this saying, uh, how's that about the teacher will come when you're ready? When you're ready, the teacher will come.
Yeah.
That's the internal side. You have to be ready. You have to be open to be motivated. If you're not open, you're not ready for new ideas, then no matter what I say or do, no matter what picture I draw, it's not going to motivate you. In fact, there's this little formula that I use in giving, and I picked it up from Toastmasters, regarding giving people, feeding them information or feedback, criticism, or whatever. And the formula is this. The first question is, are you open to feedback? Yes or no? If the answer is no, that's the end of the conversation. You can't feed someone feedback if they don't want it. But if they say yes, then there's further steps you need to take. And it can be described in this formula. It's like a telephone number. There's the area code, and then there's the number. The area code is the intention. You have to express to the person your intention. In I'm feeding you some information that I believe can help you. My intention is only to help you. I have no other intention. I want to help you. You have to make the intention clear. And then you give the person the feedback that they may need. And the feedback, and feeding the feedback, you use the sandwich formula. What was good, what needs improvement, and then what was, a conclusion that's positive about their life. So that would be the way I would mix external efforts to help someone with the internal need from the person to be open and willing to receive the feedback.
Folks, when we come back, we'll be asking Andy more about his writings for Forbes, cases he's argued across borders, multiple books he's written, and a lot more. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
It's time to wow, surprise, and impress your clients with the most powerful customer draw card available anywhere. The Marketing Boost Solutions Show is brought to you by Marketing Boost, where you can get valuable travel and restaurant incentives to drive your leads from prospects to paying customers. Now you can offer complimentary hotel stays in over 130 destinations worldwide. Go to marketingboostsolutions.com and try it for free right now.
You just heard from our main sponsor, Marketing Boost. Folks, if you're in business for yourself and you're looking for ways to wow your clients, maybe surprise them and delight them occasionally, you need to look into the powerful rewards, perks, and incentives that we provide at marketingboost.com. And we show you how exactly to implement these campaigns to help you generate more leads, close more sales, and wow your clients with amazing incentives like what you see in the screen behind me, 5-night complimentary hotel stay in Cancun, Mexico, or Cabo San Lucas, or Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, 3 nights in Las Vegas, hotel savings cards, restaurant savings vouchers. We make it amazingly affordable for you as an entrepreneur to be able to provide your clients with amazing wow factor incentives to reward them for taking actions like renewing their annual service with you, booking a Zoom call with your salespeople or yourself, and on and on. We cover more of that at marketingboost.com or our Facebook group with over 33,000 entrepreneurs. So check out marketingboost.com. Back here with Andy. You've written books for Forbes. You've argued cases across borders. You've written multiple books. That takes amazing stamina. What's your secret for staying motivated through these different chapters of your life? For example, talk to us about some of the daily habits that, get away from most of us each day, or the wrong habits
Sure.
that we might have.
Look, I'm not God. I don't know all the answers, and I'm a human being. I make mistakes and so on. So I'll share what works for me, and hopefully maybe for you and others who hear. And this part of the presentation, I'll premise with this kind of a sort of a caution. When you go to the grocery store, they offer you fruit, vegetables, bread, milk, butter, whatever you want. But you don't have to buy everything when you're at the store. You buy what's suitable for you. So from the comments I make, I'm hoping that the listeners, you and others, will choose what resonates for them and discard the rest. I'm not saying you have to buy everything I say, but anyway. So in terms of how I lead myself, my life, and address these things that I've addressed, the number one thing is I get up early in the morning and I exercise every day, every working day. Exercise. I used to run when I was young. I used to run all the time, or go to the gym, or go swimming or whatever, but mainly run. As I turned like around 50 or so, then I started walking. I decided the bones can't take it. It's too hard on the joints. And I largely walk every day, about an hour every day. Now, that may not be enough. I think the experts, guys like, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger would probably say, listen, that's peanuts. You got to do much more than that. But that's what I do. So that's the start. And I found that if you don't exercise first thing in the morning, there's a good chance you will not exercise, because as the day progresses, there are all kinds of reasons why you shouldn't exercise, such as, oh, there's a funeral, you have to go to a funeral, or, your buddy just flew in from, New York, wants to have coffee with you, lunch and coffee or whatever. And there's that report you forgot all about, and, et cetera, et cetera. And your spouse wants you to go to the store, et cetera, and the day goes by, no exercise. So to me, one of the key things, and I don't want to overdo it, but I really do believe it's the first thing in the morning, because it's hard, and you don't want to do it always, but you need it. So that's what I do. I don't follow a perfect diet. I'm not like, I'd like to say I'm perfect in terms of eating habits and stuff. I'm not. At the moment, something that might be of interest is I decided a month or two ago that I'm going to change my habits. and I'm not going to drink anything except water and coffee and tea, milk, but no Coca-Cola, no, because I was big on Coke, no alcohol, no, milkshakes, etc. And I decided I'm going to try for a few months, probably till the end of the year, eat a good diet with no sugar, no cookies, no ice cream, no, anything that's probably not good for you, and especially no processed meats, which I learned are bad for cancer. Now I'm a Ukrainian by background, Ukrainian Canadian. Sausage and and sauerkraut is like number one for me. Like I die for that. You know, but I decided, no, I'm going to lay off these kind of, now it's harder than hell. And my life was in color, and I started this diet or whatever you want to call it. And my life is now in black and white. It's not as fun. It's terrible. I don't enjoy it, but I'm hanging in there to try and kind of clean myself out for a couple of months. See what
One
happens.
of the one of the key things I've seen and about some of the podcasts I've listened to you about is your reference to building your unique ability and
Yeah.
why that's so important to marketing yourself. And we talked about that a little bit at the beginning of
Right.
our talk. But for example, what is your unique ability and how do you guide others to find theirs?
Okay, thank you for that question. That's a great question. Um, I think my unique ability is communication, effective communication. I talked earlier about this plaque that I have from Toastmasters and so on. I spent 35 years going to these club meetings once a week. And I thought my unique ability is to give presentations, to talk and so on. But the world said, no, no, no. That's not your unique ability. That's not what we want from you. Whenever I tried, it just didn't go. Nobody invited me to be a speaker. Nobody was excited about what I was saying. But the world said, right, Andy, right. Now, just to show you how crazy that is, when I went to university in first year at UBC in Vancouver, Canada, I had to take an English language course, English 101. And in that course, I had to write an essay on a poem by John Donne called Death. And it's a sonnet. It goes, death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty, for thou art not so, and etc. I wrote this essay, submitted it, I got an F. I thought, well, what's something wrong here? I spent a lot of time on this. I submitted it again, rewritten, still F. I went to see the professor. I said, listen, I don't get it. He says, your writing is terrible. You just don't know how to write. You have to spend more time learning how to write. Talk to some English students, help them out. Resubmit this thing. I resubmitted that essay 5 times to him. On the last occasion, he gave me a 50% pass because he knew if I failed English, I couldn't continue with my studies, through university. That's how bad I was. I was terrible. Today I write, as you mentioned, like I write for Forbes. I've been writing for Forbes for 10 years now. I can't believe it. I've written 5 books and so on. I'm not perfect. I haven't won a Pulitzer Prize. I don't have any, great recognitions for my writing, etc. But I'm not bad. I mean, I've had, like I mentioned, I think you mentioned that over 1 million people have read my articles on Forbes. Why? Why is it I was so bad? I was so bad that if my English teacher today learned of what I'm doing, he would roll over in his grave. Andy, the writer. How'd I do it? Step by step. I wrote, articles, essays, etc. I started writing articles for newspapers, Mickey Mouse newspapers, If you want to get good at something, do it. Keep doing it all the time. Practice it. But it's not just do it. but study how to do it well. And over time, no matter what it is, if you spend 5 years on any topic, you're going to become close to a world expert on it. And so over time, my writing got better. And so now when I write, it's not bad. I think it's pretty good. I
Let me
still
jump.
think, forgive me, I'll just finish. I still think I'm pretty good at talking and presenting ideas too. But, between those two, that's how I kind of figured out, well, this is what I should be doing.
So let me ask you this question. Moving on to your legal career, you've helped thousands of clients navigate the immigration legally. What do you see as the biggest human challenges being faced that people face when they end up in the illegal immigration category? For example, the flood of I'd like your take on, and I'm not trying to get political here, but your take on the last 4 years of flow of immigration to the United States and Canada,
Yeah.
much of it illegal. What's your opinion on that? And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Put it this way. If you're in a country where people are beating you up every night, you're afraid for your wife and kids, you can't make any money, you're dirt poor, you don't have enough food to eat, your government is arresting you and sending you to Siberia or the Gulag or somewhere. Naturally, you want to leave. You want to find some place to go to where that's not happening. So there is this tide of people all over the world. In fact, I think right now in the world, there's way over 100 million people who have no place. They're sort of upended and do not have a place to live. Like they're not homeless, but they are
Stateless, so to speak.
Yes, some are internally upended. So, for example, they were in, let's say, the war in Ukraine, for example. A lot of people from Eastern Ukraine lost their homes because of the invasion, and now they're in Western Ukraine. They moved to Western Ukraine. So they're upended, shall we say. Now, they're not refugees per se. Refugees are people who have a well-founded fear of persecution if they return to their country of citizenship. So a refugee would be someone who might escape, a persecution by, say, from Venezuela, because the dictator is likely to persecute them. But you got to deal with all these people, these hundreds of million people who are upended and homeless, so to speak, in the sense of drifting because they have no place to call home. And my take on it is you have to do it legally. These people, first of all, America cannot solve everybody's problem. No matter how good it is, no matter how rich it is, America or Canada cannot solve all the problems of all the migrants all over the world that are looking for a place to live. So you have to choose who you're going to allow in, and it naturally follows that the country has the right to turn away people who they don't want to come in. I think that's a key thing that not everybody acknowledges is a right of the country. There's the argument on the other side that says if you're a refugee, you have a right to go into the country, and the country has no right to block you from coming in.
Yeah.
So there's this clash of values there. There's no really good answer to that question. But my take on it is the country, America or Canada or wherever, can introduce a program that if someone has family members or someone who will support them, such as, for example, someone of the same church or faith, someone of the same profession, someone of the same occupation, someone who's a friend, dear friend, or whatever. If there's someone, let's say an American citizen or permanent resident, who is similar in nature, let's say it's Cubans. If you're a Cuban, you live in the United States, you're a US citizen, and you have a family member from Cuba who wants to come, you should be able to sponsor that person to come to. And the deal is you have to provide support for that person when they come. It's not just, well, I sponsored them, and when they arrive, well, good luck to you. No, you have to
Yeah.
support them. But I think that's the way to handle this flood of people who are trying to come. Many of them have family members, or they may be a church, a member of a certain church that would, like Mennonites, for example, like to support their own people, and so on. I see that as a way of fairly dealing with this massive problem, but not everybody's going to be happy. You know, there are going to be people who are going to be turned away, and that's just life, I guess.
Yeah. Um, Many of our listeners, we're entrepreneurs, we're employers. As a lawyer, how does illegal immigration impact the economy, in your opinion, with small businesses, the workforce? Are there misconceptions out there that we should clear up when it comes to illegal and or finding ways to make legal easier and for the right people, like you point out?
Yeah. Yes. In America, the main sort of work engine of immigration work-wise is the H-1B visa. But it's so complicated, and it's all like it's a nightmare, really. There's a lottery involved. You have to win a lottery. To get an H-1B visa, you have to go through first a lottery to be chosen, because there's only, a certain number, I forget what the number, 60,000, I think, and 20,000 more. 60,000 if you're at the bachelor's level, and 20,000 more if you're at the master's level each year are allowed in. So 80,000 total. But there's probably about 300,000 that are applying every year. So you have to win the lottery. But get this, to get a H-1B visa, you got to get a clearance from the Department of Labor, then from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service, then from the State Department, who's got to issue you a visa from abroad to get into the country, and then again from the Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, when you're entering the country. That's 5 approvals. That's a lot of approvals. Like how can anybody function like that? If you're a guy looking for someone to work for you in your mechanic shop, or your engineering shop or whatever, that's got special skills, like go through this monstrous effort to get someone from overseas, and yet they do it. They do it because it's important enough to them to bring these skilled workers in, even though it's very hard. But the alignment's not there as well as it could be. But this is a big topic, and it's going to be hard for me to say something intelligent without being blasted because of all the details that you'd have to touch on in order to make sense out of it. But let's put it this way. We need to reward those who come legally and punish those who do not come legally. And one last comment I would make on the subject, which is, if we can't get them in legally into the United States, that's not the end of the road for it. America has an obligation to help countries outside of America to get up on their feet and economically develop.
So I'm looking at your website now. You're one of your main law firm, pacelawfirm.com. Tell us a little about this and the service you provide to help people get legal status, et cetera.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm an immigration lawyer for both the U.S. and Canada. So anybody who wants to immigrate to the U.S. from anywhere in the world, or anybody who wants to immigrate to Canada from anywhere in the world, if they contact me at Pace Law Firm, I can help them. And I'm particularly focused on business immigration and investor immigration. So if you're an investor, you want to invest some money in the United States to start a business or buy a franchise, we can help you. Or same with Canada. That's basically it there, Marco.
Awesome. So, folks, if you're listening and know somebody looking to come to the United States and do it right and invest in a business or franchise or whatever to make that happen, then Andy and his team here at Pace Law. You also have your own page, myworkvisa.com.
Right.
So this is great. So, there's a lot of debate. Let me, folks, the links to this, to these 2 websites and the LinkedIn page for Andy will be in the show notes below. So you don't need to go there right now. We'll give you those links in just a moment. But Uh, one question I have for you is, policy solutions and your ideas there. There's a lot of debate about walls, borders, enforcement versus reform and pathways.
Right.
Based on your experience, what kind of practical solutions do you think could make the system both fair and maybe more effective?
Well, we need comprehensive immigration reform in the United States. That's a tall order, but Congress has to do it. I've already talked about a sponsorship program as what I think would probably be the best program to adopt to deal with today's needs in terms of people wanting to come to the United States and similarly to Canada. So,
And
in
that sponsorship could be people and or businesses, right? I mean, you would
yes,
like you think all of the hotel industry and all the farming industry, and they need employees. Why not make it easy for them to sponsor people, give them a quick work permit of some
yeah,
sort that's either temporary or permanent or what have you, and
right.
provide them with the labor that they're hard to find in, from U.S. or Canadian people. And the more we need to feed, the more we need people working in all of those, a lot of those industries. But yeah,
Let me
go
just
ahead.
put in one thought, which is we need people who are not criminals, so no criminals, a police clearance, and not sick. We don't want to bring in Ebola or, SARS or some other disease. So those are two things that we want to watch out for when we're asking to bring people in. And the more skilled the people, the better, because we need skills. Uh, in terms of bringing in people with no skills, less so. There are things that there are picking vegetables and things like that. Definitely need those kind of people, agricultural workers. But you have to kind of balance this all out. And we need investors,
And
people who have money, bring money, and create jobs and new industries.
yeah,
That's
and
big.
obviously those would be the first that we should be looking for to
Yeah.
help bring them in, and those that are going to not be on the welfare state, just bringing letting the people come in, and they end up on the welfare state one way or another, and
We don't need that.
they're not helping. They're part of the problem versus the solution.
Yeah.
Um, that's a tall order, right? How can government balance compassion for people seeking a better life and at the same time uphold laws and protect borders? And where is the middle ground? How do we get there?
Well, the middle ground is right smack in Congress. And these people in Congress have to talk to one another and work out a plan. And it's hard because they hate each other. But they got to stop hating each other and start working together. I'm afraid so. It doesn't matter what political opinion you have. When you're in Congress, you got to look after the national interest. And I think the national interest requires a good immigration program. Not perfect. We're not angels. We can't do everything perfectly, but something workable. And it's doable if the people would only work together. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to cross the line yet. It was close. When we were very close? 9/11. On that day, Congress was going to adopt a new immigration program, and 9/11 came along, and that was it for that program.
Wow.
On that very day. Yeah. So who
If
knows?
if you had a magic wand, I mean, if you could influence the immigration system tomorrow,
Yeah.
what would be at the top, some of the top changes you might make to reduce illegal immigration while welcoming talent, families who want to contribute?
Well, okay, it's again a tall order, but I'll give you a few thoughts. Number one, if you're married to someone and you can show a marriage certificate, like a bona fide marriage certificate from, somewhere, France, Italy, wherever it is, then I think you should be able to get your spouse into the country after just getting a police clearance and a medical clearance. And the rest can be done inside the country. You shouldn't have to wait a year, 2 years for them to be processed in. It's just an impossible situation for newly married people. That's one change I would make. I'm not sure everybody would agree with me who are experts at immigration, but that's the way I take it. That's a quick one. Uh,
Well,
again,
we need more couples and we need more kids being born too. So we
yeah,
want
yeah,
to encourage
yeah.
that.
Uh, you know, now I would, for example, the H-1B program, I'd just say, okay, look, the roof's off. Whoever can qualify, as many as employers want, H-1B workers, specialized knowledge workers, come on in. Like, why should you have a limit of 80,000? If they're specialized, they're good. They have skills that are needed. Why
Well,
are we
wouldn't
cutting?
couldn't that hurt? Couldn't that hurt the economy or the pay for U.S. citizens that may have some of those same skills when
Well,
people keep coming in willing to work for less?
the idea is you have to show that these people have skills that are not readily available in the US.
Right.
That's the idea. We're filling in spots that are not being filled. The other area that I really think needs improvement is more focus on investor immigration, and especially targeted investor immigration. So, for example, repair infrastructure. There's the decay of infrastructure, trillions of dollars of decay in infrastructure that needs repair, bridges, highways, the whole works. That is being neglected. You could attend to those things by bringing in investors. The idea being, if you invest $1 million, say, or whatever, we'll use that money to repair the roads, but if you can show that you're bona fide and go through the checks on you, criminal checks and so on, you can come in with your family. And so I would do targeted investor immigration. There's a maximum 10,000 per year of investor immigrants. I think that's too low.
Didn't Trump recently do the gold card thing or whatever that?
Yeah, he's announced he wants to create a gold card, a $5 million gold card. But the reality is it's got to go through Congress, and it's never going to go through Congress unless they buckle down and decide, okay, we're going to fix this thing. We got to work together to get the immigration system working.
Oh, I thought that was a decree that he did that. So that's got to get passed. So that'll be difficult. But that's the idea in a way you're talking about. In other words,
Yeah.
if you've got $5 million and you're going to come invest it in the U.S., why not open the floodgates for people that are going to come with at least, X amount of money and employ people?
So long as these guys haven't stolen the $5 million from some poor country overseas,
yeah,
and are bringing here to clean their
true,
money.
as a laundering facility.
Yeah.
And or they're the drug lords that are now
Right.
coming here to set up shop.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't help any.
No.
So very good. So, folks, let me take a minute and tell you about something we're working on and launching soon. If you're in business, you need reviews. Harvard studies have shown that you're not going to get business without a constant flow of fresh testimonials, reviews, video reviews, people bragging or talking positively about your brand. If you're not actively soliciting reviews, you're likely only going to get the negatives. I mean, most people don't go out of their way to tell anybody about any business unless they're unhappy. Then they want to tell everybody. So if you're not soliciting a constant flow of testimonials from your clients, constant feedback, you're going to need to check out our new service, trustbyreviews.com. Trustbyreviews.com. We're a platform that helps you reward clients. First, get honest feedback from your clients about your product or service, and then if they're happy, 3, 4, and 5-star reviews, we're going to encourage them with marketing boost rewards and incentives to publish that honest feedback with a few clicks on multiple third-party review sites. Have them published quickly on Better Business Bureau, Google Reviews, Facebook, Trustpilot, Yelp, and many more, so that one happy client can end up helping you spread the word on multiple third-party trusted review sites that will end up forcing Google to lift your brand when people are searching for your brand. And all of these third-party reviews will live on the internet and help you grow your business. So check out trustbyreviews.com. Very affordable way to build a powerhouse of reviews and testimonials, including video reviews. All right, we're back here with Andy. Advice for entrepreneurs and professionals, Andy, going back to your expertise in motivating and training others. Self-awareness is key to leadership and growth. What advice for entrepreneurs and professionals do you often give about self-awareness and proper leadership?
Well, I guess one of the areas that I think we should touch on related to that is just being balanced in your life. So how do you figure out how to be balanced? How do you be more balanced? And that's a question of values. What are the values that you hold dear? And now, so for example, I'll just give some examples of values: integrity, honesty, sincerity, loyalty. These are some of the values that I'm talking about. Another set of values might be things like uh, faith or God, health, family, career, community. These are another set of values. Whatever the values might be, the way to have a balanced life is to identify the values that are key to you. And if you'll allow me, I would paint a picture like a pizza pie, and let each pizza, part of the pizza, be a value. So one might be integrity, the other honesty, the other, etc. Or, like career or so. Now I can't tell you your values, just like you can't tell me my values. Excuse me. You might identify something that might resonate with me, but you have to define your own values. I cannot do that. But if you do, and maybe it's hard, but maybe a few of them you can identify. So for example, I want to be healthier. I want to read more books or whatever. I want to learn more. I want to be mentally, etc. Whatever they are, let's say, let's take one. Let's say health, okay? And let's imagine a bicycle tire, and there's spokes from the inner hub to the outer rim. Let's take one of those spokes, and we're going to put health on that spoke. On the inside, near the hub, is number 1, and on the outside, maximum is number 10. So let's say we're going to measure health, your health, my health, on that spoke. And then the next spoke is going to be, let's say, spirituality. How dedicated are you to God or whoever whatever you believe? Okay, 1 being very little, 10 being a lot, and you go around like that. Each spoke is a different value, and you end up like a pizza. So you go through this exercise. You say, okay, how healthy am I? How good am I doing on the area of health? Well, I think maybe I'm a 7. Well, how spiritual am I? Well, maybe I'm about a 5, and might be. And you go around the circle. And then you connect those dots to draw a circle around all those values that you've identified. Now, if you're balanced, what you're going to find is you got a circle. If you're not balanced, you got a flat tire. And if you got a flat tire, that's telling you better pay attention to some of these values that you say you value so much. And it may be, well, I got to stop eating, all this garbage that I'm eating, or I got to start reading more books, or, cut out whatever it is that, that's causing trouble in your life, etc. And that's how you figure out balance.
Are there any resources you want to share with us as to where to find? I'm going to go ahead and pull up your LinkedIn page if you're watching on YouTube, or what's up. I mean, Rumble rather. We've showing here a LinkedIn page for Andy.
I could share this. All my books are on Amazon. If anybody's interested in, if you type my name, Andy Semotiuk, Semotiuk, on Amazon, you'll find my books. And I've published a number of books. One is called The Young Professional, which is a career guide book for young people going into the professions. Some of the material that we covered is covered in that book. And then I have some historical books that I've written. The immigrant experience is a theme of a few of my books. And I've written some comedy as well. I've done some stand-up comedy, so.
No way.
Yeah.
That's cool. That is cool. How did you get the pants big enough to to get on stage and tell jokes. That must have been, well, that's part of, I always wanted to go to those postmaster meetings,
Oh,
and I've
yeah.
always read about them, and I've always wanted to go, and I never did. It's one of those things I wish I had invested time doing. But
Yeah.
is that part of where you learn to get on stage
Some
and
of
tell
it.
jokes as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. I just realized, I really enjoy humor. And the great thing about stand-up comedy is you get instant reaction. You're instantly either good or you're lousy and you stink. There's no in between. So,
Yeah,
you get
people.
up there, the first time you shake, your body's shaking, and the next time gets a little easier and easier, and you watch others doing it. And some of these guys are hilarious, just absolutely hilarious, you know.
Yeah,
And I've taken a liking to it because of the instant feedback. The instant feedback. There's nowhere else except maybe in songs, perhaps, where you get such instant feedback. And what a joy it is to make someone laugh, an instant connection with someone,
yeah.
emotional connection.
How
I
cool is
really
that?
like that.
That I've never done on purpose. Been funny. I think I've had people laugh at me.
Oh, me too. No problem.
maybe maybe occasionally with me, but
Yeah.
it's uh folks, if well, let me ask you this final. Do you have any final words of wisdom to the aspiring entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, to when they get stuck in their career, and what would you
Uh,
suggest to them to keep at it, keep going,
okay. I'll give you 7 rules for a successful life.
please?
Okay. Number 1, come on time. Number 2, do what you promise. Number 3, finish what you start. Number 4, mean what you say, meaning don't be cynical. Number 5, be grateful. Number 6, be, it's almost similar, uh, be thankful, I guess is the right word. And number 7 is do a little bit every day.
Those are strong and not that hard to follow, right? You start small, but if you
All right.
if you show up first, you got to start by showing up and showing up on time. Let
Yeah.
me see if I go through those one more with you. Do what you say you're going to do.
Keep your promise.
Keep your promises. There you go.
Yeah.
Finish what
Finish
you
what you start.
start.
Mean
Number
what you
4,
say.
I missed.
Mean what you say.
Mean what you say.
Yeah. Number
Be
5.
grateful, which is incredibly important in my book. Every morning I start with gratitude on everything I do have, roof over my head, healthy kids, healthy grandkids, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You've got something to be thankful for, even if there is a bunch of things going wrong around you.
Yeah.
Be grateful, be thankful, and then just do a little bit every day towards
Yeah.
your goal and dream.
Actually,
And
actually, be kind is one of the thoughts also. Be kind.
be kind.
Yeah.
I could probably use more of that. I can be mean.
Marco, it was great talking with you. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Andy, it was a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Folks, if you like the content we brought for you today, give us a like. If you got any questions for Andy about immigration or motivation, please look him up on LinkedIn and on his websites. They're all listed in the show notes below. Anybody who's looking for support and help on getting immigration or motivation, grab this link and share it with somebody. So like, subscribe, and share if you would. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Marketing Boost Solutions podcast. Thank you so much for investing your time and hearing us out. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Boost Solutions Podcast with your hosts, Captain Marco Torres. Now it's on you Take the next step now. Go to marketingboostsolutions.com for more on how you can wow, delight, and surprise your clients with the most amazing draw card on the planet. So stay thirsty, my friends. Stay thirsty for knowledge. See you next time.